and welcome to today's video. Iced vanilla latte. Oh boy, that's sweet, but not too sweet. Look, it tastes like, reminds me of a Vietnamese coffee, which is just black coffee with condensed milk at the bottom. This tastes like that, just with a bit of vanilla flavor. Okay, look, it's a rainy Sydney morning, and it's about 10 AM now. I still haven't jumped on the bike. I think the rain's gonna clear by about lunchtime, and I'm just hoping that it clears a little sooner so I don't have to jump on the trainer to get my workout done. Okay, so today's video is about my relationship with food, where it was, what problems I was running into eating the way I was eating, and where it is right now, and how I've gotten to this point with the help of a registered dietitian. Let me start you off with a bit of context. So when I was growing up with my mum and my sister, there was never any structured eating whatsoever. Breakfast before school was optional. During school, we had packed lunches, which was nice. And then when we got home, it was absolute free-for-all. There was never a set dinner time every day. So if mum had cooked throughout the day, as she didn't work full-time, we would just come home, eat whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted, and then that was it. So we did this for years and years on end. And basically, what that resulted in is no real structure around the food I eat throughout my life. Now, you may be thinking, what are the consequences of that? For me, not having any structure around food has resulted in me just jumping on any impulse I have that my stomach is telling my brain to eat whatever I want, whenever I want. And that's not always a good thing. It's not always a good thing because what ended up happening was two things. Either I would wait long periods of time between meals and then smash food and be just like, oh, I'm gonna get all this food and it's gonna get my belly. Or I would just graze and snack all day on unhealthy food, then be kind of frustrated at the end of the day that I haven't had anything substantial or proper to eat. And that's not a healthy thing, especially when you're using food to procrastinate from your work, or then when you finish your work, you reward yourself with food and it becomes this vicious loop. And it's just not a good thing to have going on in your life. So it's cloudy out, but at least the rain's cleared. I'm gone riding outside. I actually set my bike up because I thought I was gonna have to ride the trainer. I just wanna say that in cycling, I feel like food is just this massive contradiction because you have to be really, really powerful and really light at the same time. But you can't have power without input of food. So it's always this fine balance. And I think because of that, the cycling culture and food, it's always like a taboo topic, almost really touchy. Have you ever been out riding with buddies and you're sitting there smashing a croissant or some banana bread and then you offer some up to your friend and you're like, oh, you want a crumb of this banana bread or maybe a slither of this croissant? And they're like, no, none for me, mate. And then they just rub in their stomach or something like that. And you're like, okay, suit yourself. Like, at least you offered, you're doing the right thing. And then weeks later, like you see them smashing like a large Big Mac meal with a sundae and a thick shake, or just having this ginormous meal, and it's like the exact opposite of what they're of a couple weeks ago. So I can see that there are some unhealthy relationships with food out there, and what I'm going to tell you today, or what I was recommended by my dietitian, is for me. So I mean, it's not advice for you in any way, shape or form, but it may help you, or it may encourage you to seek out help of your own if you do need it. So today's ride is 2 hours of bunch riding, but because I started riding at 11 AM, there's obviously no bunches. So I just improvised, did a couple 30-second efforts above threshold and a couple of 5-minute hills around threshold and just kept the tempo in between. And we're back. It is full sunshine out there. The only thing when riding after it rains and then the sun just beats down on the road is it just gets so humid. It feels like you're cycling in the middle of
Singapore or somewhere real humid close to the equator.
So what did this hotshot nutritionist actually tell me? Well, in a nutshell, she left me with 3 things: structure, planning, and mindful eating. So let's start with structure. What is structure? Okay, well, it's basically having set meal times: breakfast, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner, and supper. So that's like 6 meals. That's a lot. That is the exact opposite of how I lived my life beforehand. It's not even just eating to appetite, it's just eating regimented. So what does this actually do? Well, basically, if you've got 6 meals planned out throughout the day that you know you're going to be eating, it really helps stop the mindless eating or procrastinating with food, because you know that the next meal is literally only an hour away. So it really helps your whole mental space not revolve around food all the time. It puts it into the background because, as I said, the next meal is literally around the corner. This helped me massively because I would walk to the kitchen all the time thinking I'm hungry or not hungry, and then wonder if I should eat now or not eat now, or wait till the next meal, or just not eat till dinner because I've had a bunch of snacks in the morning. Just having that structure really helps. That's pretty tough to implement because as a cyclist, you're always trying to be lighter, so when you're eating so much all the time, it feels like you're overeating. And I was for the first couple of weeks. But after the first couple of weeks, even though I put on a kilo or 2, just not having my mental space always worried about food because it was so automatic with the structured meals, it really helped free my mind up from thinking about food all the time. Planning is the next big domino to knock over. This one is massive because it takes a lot of work and a lot of intention. Planning each meal and making sure each meal is complete and balanced. So it has protein, carbohydrates, veggies. That is a lot of work right there. If you've never planned meals before, wow, you're in for a wake-up call like I was. So previously what I would do is basically, if I'm making myself breakfast, I would have eggs with some veggies and then snack on some chocolate afterwards because I wasn't completely satiated because I wasn't having a complete meal. So what I do now is I'd have eggs, veggies, and make sure I have a slice or 2 of bread to curb any cravings of having some bad, unnutritional snacks straight afterwards. Planning snacks also. Having a fruit and yogurt with some nuts sprinkled on top, or a smoothie ready to go in the fridge for that mid-morning snack is a big deal. So it's got carbs, protein, and some fiber to keep you satiated and full. So then when it comes to the mid-morning and you're walking into the kitchen mindlessly, ready to grab a packet of crisps, then you've got something healthy there ready to go. That leads me on to my next point: portion control in your plan. So basically, how many times have you walked into the kitchen mindlessly, you've grabbed a whole packet of chips, and then all of a sudden you've walked out of the kitchen and half an hour later the chips are gone. You've smashed the entire packet. You're like, what just happened? Like, where did they all go? You're just looking around, wondering where the chips went, and then you realize you've eaten the whole flippin' thing. Like, that, you need portion control, because that's not on. You can have like 700-800 calories in that whole packet, and that's more than a main meal. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Chris? So if you're going for a snack and you're making it there and then basically putting it in a bowl and then walking out of the kitchen and then eating the food, like, that's okay. But just not going to the kitchen without a plan is never a good idea. I know you've been there. I know it. So this video doesn't go on all day. I'll go on to my last point: mindful eating. Mindful eating is when you have a meal or a snack, then sitting down and eating it mindfully without consuming any content or having any stimulus of any sort, really. Other than people, that's okay. But how many times have you sat down in front of the TV or in front of the computer or in front of your phone and you're just scrolling, and basically you're rewarding yourself with food for scrolling through feeds or watching YouTube or watching TV? That doesn't sound like a good habit to get into. And as you probably know, habits are really hard to reverse. So eating mindfully without any stimulation will really help to enjoy your food and realize that this is a meal, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to move on with my life. and then go about your day. And that's just something I wasn't doing before. I was always consuming some sort of content while eating. And then when the content would finish, I would want to keep eating food so I could keep feeling good while watching and consuming content. Eating food with friends and family is completely okay. Sharing a meal with people is one of the beautiful things in life that everyone should enjoy. And I think that's enough for today. Let me know if food is something you struggle with also. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow.